All right, I think we're rolling. So from this interviewing process, this really prepares us then for the next step that could be a nutrition intervention. And so that word is kind of imposing intervention. It means that we are doing something, but it is generally an education session, although it could be other things too. All right, so this education session takes shape or is impacted by the nutrition diagnosis and its etiology. So remember last time we met, we talked about the PES statements, the diagnosis, and the etiology. And so here we are using those terms again. So basically the diagnosis and etiology drive the selection of an intervention. And let's look at that. This information is in your, I don't know that it's in your textbook. It is in Blackboard, but I'm going to share what I posted in Blackboard. So hang on. All right. Close that. So let's review. Nutrition intervention strategies are selected to change nutritional intake, to offer nutrition-related knowledge or behavior, to arrange access to supportive care or services or environmental conditions, organizational processes, and public environmental conditions, organizational processes, and public policies that impact the nutrition problem. These 5 domains are where we determine how we plan to proceed with our patient's intervention and nutrition goals. We are basically defining the plan of care based on, again, that diagnosis and etiology. And then the goals that we establish provide the basis for monitoring progress and measuring outcomes. In planning the nutrition intervention, we first want to think back to the PES statements. What problems did the patient experience? And again, highlighting or prioritizing those most important. Do they have a knowledge deficit and require education or counseling? Were they experiencing an unplanned weight gain or an unexpected weight loss that requires gathering a diet history to investigate what's going on? Do they have a medical issue that's causing a nutrition issue? Are there barriers to learning or accessing food? Is there any family support? And are there any food allergies that create a challenging situation for dietary compliance? This is just naming a few. We could go on. In the first domain, for food and nutrient delivery, we may discover these issues during our screening. For instance, a patient may need softer food choices or a mechanical soft diet. Or maybe the patient has been used to following a diabetes-friendly, consistent carb diet, and suddenly they were admitted on a regular diet. And so we need to contact the physician and get that order in place. The RDN will do that, but we need to set that process in motion. Or we discover during the screening that the patient wishes to lose weight and control treats because of excessive weight and abnormal BMI classification. We can assist with menu choices within the hospital setting accordingly, and then we can make a referral to the RDN for weight loss nutrition intervention prior to discharge. In the second domain regarding nutrition education, for all of the interventions, we start to write a few simple learning objectives to bring that problem into focus. For example, needing nutrition education with the patient who wishes to lose weight or control treats, we first have to consider some SMART goals. And so we're looking at specific things. What is measurable that we can do for them with our goals? What's achievable, realistic, and time sensitive? So each of these words begin with a letter that completes our SMART acronym, SMART. And so the learning objective becomes one that we can answer yes to all of these SMART goals. Is the objective specific? Is it blah, blah, blah? So let's take a look. I just made up something here. So at the end of the lesson, meaning at the end of my counseling, Mr. Charles, wait, I gotta move I have to move all of you here. Okay, there we go. There we go. Mr. Charles, will restate from the education lesson 3 foods he should avoid regularly and 3 healthy foods he should include regularly in his diet. So then we can begin to ask, is this specific enough? Is it measurable? Can I determine if he's implementing my goal, which is really his goal, right? Not mine, but is this achievable? Given your conversation with Mr. Charles, does this seem like something he might be able to attain, that's realistic? And is it time sensitive? So anyone have any suggestions on how we might make this learning objective better? It's very broad. So,
Specifics.
go ahead, go ahead.
So for 3 foods he should avoid regularly and 3 that he should include regularly in his diet. In specifics, what is he avoiding and what is he implementing into his diet? Like specifically, like is it whole grains? Is he taking out salt?
Yes. Okay. You make a good point. So we don't know exactly the thrust of that lesson yet. So you hit on something certainly quite relevant. Also, we would probably discern that a little further by a second or third objectives based on, what kind of lesson we're going to provide. So yes, you're on the right track. We might also, I use the word regularly, and what does that mean to me? What does that mean to you? What does that mean to Mr. Charles? So we might define that further. We might say he should include these 3 foods, healthy foods, every other day. And again, this is very, very broad, but it does give you a sense of we're trying to create some type of objective. We're not just saying we're going to teach you about the blah, blah, blah diet. Okay. All right, let me go on here. So ideally, we will be monitoring patient progress and outcomes by monitoring, let me go back one second. So Mr. Charles, where did I make that case for? He's the fellow that he wants to lose weight, and so he obviously would have what kind of measurement that we would see that would not be a healthy measurement?
Weight gain.
Yes, that's right. Weight gain and something else, a specific.
Like his circumference, his stomach, waist circumference.
You could use that, absolutely. We didn't have to talk much about that. There's one other one that we did talk about in calculations.
BMI.
BMI, that's right. So if he has an abnormal BMI, sure. So we would be looking for those things to monitor over time. Okay, good. So I want to share also something called Bloom's taxonomy. And this is a document that is an attachment in Blackboard. And it has a list of great verbs that help to describe some action, to show observable knowledge skills. And so let me pull that up. This will be a very handy tool for you to save and use in the future. And we'll get into this in greater detail in the spring in medical nutrition therapy. Oh, I think I have to end my PowerPoint. Hang on a minute. I do. Here we go. Okay, and so you see a list here of measurable verbs. What we are not looking for are verbs that are really weak verbs. So let me scroll down real quick. Sorry for the flipping through here. Okay, so you'll see a list of words to avoid or phrases to avoid. And so when we make a statement like Mr. Charles will state, all right, that is a stronger verb than if I say, he believes he will do blah, 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 or he understands blah, blah, blah. So those are words or verbs that we wish to avoid because we can't really measure those. But if he states something, now we can measure that. All right, so keep that in mind. So I would take a look through this Bloom's taxonomy when you're first learning to write some of these goals. And you don't have to get real sophisticated, just real basic in this knowledge column or comprehension. Those are all great. All right, and then this brings us to there we go. To writing learning objectives and SMART goals. And so let me share this little video. It's only about 2 minutes. Okay, wait, and I think I need to stop and reshare. Lots of stop and starting here. Sorry about that. All right, can you all see the little bear? All right. Make sure the volume is turned up here. You have to read, there's no words. I mean, there's no audio. Okay. So you'll be able to review that again in Blackboard. It's under writing learning objectives. And that is a really simplified, what do I want to say? It's a very broad kind of look at learning objectives. So this is a great place to start because it really helps you figure out exactly how we can write these just very simply. Next semester, we'll get into some more details on that. All right, so let me go on here. I'm going to go back to our, I think I want to go here. Okay. So in our course, can you all see we're on looking at assignment, the screen that says assignments 5C and 5D? Okay, very good. All right, so we're going to look again at Mrs. Salary and go back to look at Mr. Wood. And so now you're going to have the opportunity of writing a few simple learning objectives. And these will become the basis for your nutrition intervention section on your A-dime note. So we're, again, sort of leading you right through that A-dime process. So you want to be sure to keep the nutrition problem and PES in mind while writing these, and also remember the SMART goals format for the learning objectives.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
So when we were doing the 2 case studies all the way through the PES, we were doing Mrs. Sowery and Mr. Sanchez.
I
So
know.
we don't have PESs for Mr. Wood.
Oh, okay. You make a good point. So let me,
I was wondering why I was confused. Okay.
yeah.
I
Okay.
thought it was just me. Thank you, Tammy.
Not just you. All right. Let me look here. So, and this. Let me take a look here at my, and we can look together, Mr. Woods. Oh yeah, we didn't do those. Okay, so then let me take a look back at that, and over the next 24 hours, I'll figure out if I'm going to give you the PES for Mr. Woods, or if we're going to revert to Mr. Sanchez. So just be on the lookout for that. Thank you. Okay, best laid plans, right? Okay. Let's go back here. All right, so whomever we end up choosing, you'll actually be able to then complete the intervention sections also on that A-dime for both Mrs. Salary and someone else. And you'll have 2 separate forms, so a little note for each of those. Let me see what else I've written here. Bring up the A-dimes. Oh, bring the A-dimes up to date with all of the information as you know it to date. And of course, then special attention to the intervention using the learning objectives you've created as your guiding light. And then upload both of those A-dimes together. So 5C is Mrs. Salary, 5D will be our next person, and then 5E is both of the A-dime notes together that you upload for both of those. All right, and then other assignments this week. Assignment A is a very, very simple communications assignment. It'll be fairly quick for you. And then there's a post-test for chapter 18 and a checkpoint 3.
Could I ask a question on the intervention?
Yes.
So the learning objectives I was fine on. I have those. They're SMART objectives, there's no problems. But on the ADIME for the nutrition prescription intervention, is
Mhm.
that something that we would just pull standardized terminology, like helping the individual set priorities and establish diet-related goals? That's something I pulled right out of the book, or do we specify it?
You won't find any standard terminology for that. That will be
Okay.
really based, because remember, your PES is that standard lingo, but now we're individualizing this patient's needs. And so it's
Okay.
going to have to be what seems to apply. And I would tell you this, try to simplify your wording as much as you can. Try to like get rid of words that you don't maybe really need. You don't need complete sentences, just kind of abbreviate. Think about how much time the physicians spend looking at electronic medical records, and they are not going to read something that's long. So consider what you're writing in light of that. The shorter
Okay,
you
thank you.
keep it, more concise, they're going to read what you wrote. All right. Let's see. So that was a really quick look at interviewing techniques and writing learning objectives. We will continue working on those skills into next semester and so on. So anything else, folks? All right. I thank you for joining me tonight. I will hang on in case anyone has any questions or concerns. I'm going to stop our recording right now. This may be two-part. I don't know if it paused, so we may see something different posted.